Welcome to chapter 25, the book of 1 Samuel. A little respite here from the cat and mouse chase of Saul chasing David. It will resume in chapter 26, but here we have a story that I'm not sure if it's in the correct time limit between in the time that David was being chased by Saul. It probably was. It seems to fit in there. And it's about this man called Nabal and his wife Abigail. And it begins, "And Samuel died, and all Israel gathered together and lamented him, and entombed him in his house in Armathaim, Ramah." Now, I don't think it was actually in his house, someplace around his house. And so he is now out of the picture as far as we see. But he does come back later, and we'll find out. Believe it's in this, I think it's still in this, it's in 1 Samuel, where Saul conjures up Samuel from the dead, and we'll find out about that later in the Witch of Endor. But for right now, he died, and David rose up and went down into the wilderness of Paran. And there was a man in Maon, and his work was in Carmel. And the man was exceedingly great. And to this man were 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. Let's go to a map here, and we'll see that En-Gedi is where he was at, a valley in here, and here's Ziph, here's Carmel, and here's Maon. And they were in these narrow straits in this hilly area, but apparently they were out somewhere, and the shepherds from this man who was from this area came and grazing their sheep. Then we'll find out here, and it says, "And it came to pass during the shearing of his flock in Carmel, and the man, name to the man was Nabal," which means folly, "and the name to his wife was Abigail. And his wife had good understanding and was good to the sight, exceedingly beautiful. And the man, he was recalcitrant and wicked in practices, and he was churlish. He didn't want to bend to anybody else's wishes, and he was stuck in concrete. Whatever he's decided, it was it. And he was wicked in his practices, so he might have cheated people, purchasing animals or selling the animals or paying the wages to his workers. It doesn't say, but wicked in his practices, and he was churlish. Now, I had a friend, John, lives here in Newport. He passed away, and he was on the churlish side, although he was fine with me, but he was just a rough man, and when you talk to him, he was churlish. And I tried to introduce him to Jesus, and he told me to keep my good things to myself. His wife was a believer, but he wasn't, and he was on the churlish side. But Nabal apparently was even more so. And David heard in the wilderness, Eremo, hermit comes from that word, that Nabal, the Carmelite, was shearing his flock. And David sent 10 servants, decade, comes from that, and he said to his servants, "Ascend unto Carmel, and come to Nabal, and ask him in my name the things for peace." Irene comes from that. It's a name that women used to have. You don't hear it anymore. "And you shall say thus, for a season may it be for you being in health, and your house and all the things of yours being in health." And salutation, everything, hope everything is well with you and good and so forth, and buttering him up more or less. "And now Behold, I hear that your shepherds shear for you now, the ones who were with us in the wilderness, and we did not detain them, and we did not give charge to them in anything all the days of their being in Carmel. So apparently these men of David were at Carmel. This is where the flock of Nabal was, and they didn't try to become robbers and steal the animals and overcome the shepherds and cause a lot of problems or bribe them or anything like that. Just let them come there, and they actually guarded them, as we find out here. So ask of your servants, these men of David are telling Nabal, ask of your servants, and they will tell to you. There's the Alpha Gamma Gamma, says it, tell, announce, messenger. And let us, your servants, find favor in your ophthalmology, for eyes. For upon a good day we come. Well, give indeed whatever your hand should find to your servants, and to your son David. The exclamation is imperative. Oh, give something to us. We need it. And the servants of David come and speak to Nabal according to all these things in the name of David. So they go to Nabal and they say, this is what David says, and the ones we just went through. And Nabal jumped up and responded to the servants and said, who is David, and who is the son of Jesse? Today there are bondmen multiplying, each withdrawing from the presence of his master, escaping slaves more or less. And shall I take my breads and my wine and my things offered in sacrifice, which I have sacrificed to the ones shearing for me the sheep, and give them to men whom I don't know from what place they are, or who they're about, what they're about, or anything? And the servants of David turned back into their way, and they turned and came and announced to David according to all these words. Now Nabal is not going to help us. And David said to his men, let each man tie on his sword. And David even himself tied on his sword, going to war, battle. And they ascended after David, about 400 men. That's a lot. And 200 stayed by the equipment. And one of the servants reported it to Abigail, wife of Nabal, saying, well, behold, David sent messengers from out of the wilderness to bless our master, and he turned aside from them. And the men were good to us exceedingly, and they didn't detain us nor charge to us anything all the days which we were by them with the sheep, in our being in the field. Agriculture comes from that. They were as a wall for us, protecting them, both day and night, all the days of our being with them and tending the flocks. Boy, all the people of David were helping them. And now, perceive and see what you shall do. For evil is completed against our master and against his house. It's all planned. David's going to come and wipe them out. And our master, he is the son of pestilence, and there is not a speaking to him. And Abigail hastened and took 200 breads and 2 receptacles of enu, wine, and pente, 5 sheep prepared, and 5 ephahs of toasted grains, and 1 homer of dried grapes, and 200 dried clusters of figs, and put them upon the donkeys. And she said to her servants, you go forth in front of me, and behold, I come after you. But to her husband Nabal she did not report. There again, Alpha and then the Gamma Gamma report. And it came to pass, of her being mounted upon the donkey, that she went down in the protection of the mountain. And behold, David and his men went down to meet her. and she met them. And David said, well, perhaps it was unjust. I guarded all the things of Nabal in the wilderness, and asked not to take from any of his things, nothing. And he recompensed to me evil for good. Thus God do to the enemies of David, and thus may he add, if I leave behind from all of the ones of Nabal unto the morning, of the ones urinating against a wall. Now, that's a strange way of talking about men, basically. And Abigail saw David, and hastening she came down from the donkey and fell before David upon her face, and did obeisance to him upon the ground. The did obeisance is, like I mentioned many places, translated by the King James into worship. Well, she wasn't worshiping David. She did obeisance on the ground. And she fell by his feet and said, oh, it's on me, O my Lord, be the injustice. Blame me, not anybody else. Let indeed your bondwoman speak into your ears, and you hear the words of your bondman. Acoustics comes from that. Let not indeed my master put his Carthian heart against this pestilent man, against Nabal, her husband, for according to his name, thus is he Nabal, folly. His name and folly is with him. And I, your bondman, did not see the servants of my master whom you sent. And now, O my Lord, as the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, as the Lord restrained you to not come against innocent blood, and to deliver your hand for yourself, that now may your enemies become as Nabal, as folly, and the ones seeking bad things against my Lord. So she's making amends that she wasn't there to greet these men. It would have been different if they had met her instead of Nabal. And now receive this eulogion, eulogy, blessing, good words, which your bondman has brought to my master David. And you shall give it to the servants standing beside my master David. Take away indeed the violation of your bondwoman, for in doing the Lord shall make a trustworthy house for my master, for the Lord shall wage the battle for my master David, and evil shall not be found in you at any time. Now maybe the master is talking about Nabal. Something bad will happen from the Lord. That could be. It gets confusing who the master is. And if a man, anthropology from that, should rise up to pursue you, and seeking your psyche, life, psyche, then the life of my master will be bound in a bond of life by the Lord God, because you've done a good thing. You're going to be, you'll be blessed. In the life of your enemies, you shall sling as in the midst of the sling. You'll be able to throw them away from you. And it shall be whenever the Lord shall do to my master David, I would assume here, according to all the good things which he spoke concerning you, that the Lord shall give charge to you for taking the lead over Israel. So she realizes this man is going to be a king. He's going to be the leader of Israel. Then this abomination and obstacle of Nabal shall not be against you, against your heart, to my master to pour out innocent blood without charge, and that would be innocent blood of the people that were working for Nabal. This won't be on the record of David, to deliver the hand of my master for himself. And the Lord shall do good to my master, David, and you shall remember your bondwoman, to do well to her. So she's, when the good things happen, remember me. And David said to Abigail, Evlogitos Kyrios o Theos Israel, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, who sent you in this day to meet me. And blessed be your manner, tropos, and blessed be you to detain me today in this, to not come for blood, and to deliver my hand from myself. Thank God that you're coming. I shouldn't have wanted to go against Nabal, and I was hot-headed, and you have come, and God has blessed me by you coming, basically is what he's saying. Only as lives the Lord God of Israel, who detained me today of doing evil to you, that unless you hastened and came to meet me, not would there have been left to Nabal unto the light of the morning, one urinating against the wall. They would all been dead. And David took from out of her hand all which he brought to him, and said to her, Ascend in peace to your house. See, I hearkened to your voice, and I took up your person. And Abigail came to Nabal. She goes back. And behold, there was to him a banquet in his house, as the banquet of a king. A lot of noise going on, music and so forth. And the heart, the cardia of Nabal, was good with him. He's feeling great. And he was being intoxicated exceedingly, so he was stumbling drunk. And Abigail reported not to Nabal the thing, great or small, until the light of the morning. And it came to pass in the morning, as Nabal sobered up from the wine, his wife reported to him all these things. Oh boy. And his heart died in him, and he became as stone. Had a heart attack over it. Oh my God, what have you done? And all this money is gone from me and us. And had a heart attack. And it came to pass after about 10 days that the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. And David heard that Nabal died, and said, Well, blessed be the Lord, who judged the case of my being scorned from the hand of Nabal, and protected his bondman from out of the hand of evil. So he protected me from doing something bad. And the evil of Nabal the Lord returned against his own head. And David sent and spoke concerning Abigail, to take her to himself for a wife. And the servants of David came to Abigail in Carmel, and they spoke to her, saying, Well, David sends us to you to take you to himself for a wife. And rising, she did obeisance upon her face upon the ground. So she was on the ground, and said, Behold, your bondman is for a girl to wash the feet of the servants of my master. A very humble, wonderful woman. A lot of women were called Abigail. It was a common name when I was younger. And Abigail hastened and rose up and mounted upon the donkey. And 5 of her young women followed her. And she went after the servants of David, and became to him for a wife. And now it goes in a little history here, and it says, And David took Ahinoam from Jezreel, and both were his wives. And Saul the king gave Michal his daughter, the wife of David, to Phalti, the son of Laish, the one from Galim. So this was in the time period in between, because David had left Michal when she put his statue in the bed when Saul sent soldiers to come and arrest him to kill him. And so David fled, and so now Saul gives the wife of David to this man. We'll find out more about that incident later on. Here's later. Chapter 26, we go back to the cat and mouse chase. So if you want to find out what happens next, you'll have to join us in chapter 26 in the next video seminar. Till then, God bless.